Okay, so today we're going to be doing our first video on shadow work, and this is kind of ironic timing because I just had one of my absolute worst ego episodes, and you know, it was it was traumatic for me. I ended up like having a really hard purge for that. I cried for like 3 days. Um, was not super fun working through that. Like literally being at work and having to deal with that, but also just um, purging all the emotions that go with that. Um, and ironically, ironically, uh, it's a very complex situation, and I don't kind of want to talk about everything that happened, but um, it's I don't know if all air signs are like this, but I know for me, being an Aquarius, my ego kind of attacks me in my mental space. Um, and air signs have a lot to do with like your mental gymnastics and mental acuity and the way you like to process things. Where like earth signs are very in the physical, um, and fire signs are very in the spirit. Water signs are very in the emotion, and air signs are very in the intellect. They're in the mind a lot. Um, so when I process things, sometimes it goes from brain to mouth very quickly, um, and I don't have time to kind of like cork that and process it mentally before it's just out. Um, so the processing has to come afterwards and replaying that situation and be like, why did this happen? It's the analyzing. Um, because some of those maybe it's not all out yet. Hmm. Some of those deeper things, it's hard to see unless it's out. And once it's out, and kind of like on paper, you can look at it and say, okay, what does this have to do with? What does it stem from? Where did it come from? Because that's that's not my normal. It's not usually what I'm like. So, where did it come from? And then you can kind of break it down and digest those pieces um, of yourself. A lot of it, for me, is stuff that I've repressed from years of dysfunctional relationships and a lot of, very traumatic situations that I've just had to work through. And I don't mean like actually doing the emotional work. I mean like physically having to put that on a back burner so I can work and, keep up with life. That I don't have time to just stop and sort my trauma. I mean, a lot of us have life um, that we have to deal with on the regular. We don't have time to just like go to the spa and relax and, have a nice, relaxing day where we can focus on nothing but our own mental stability and our, physical presence. So sometimes this shit just comes up. And that's just part of life. It's just part of trying to exist. And yeah, and how we work through that is when we have one of these reactions, when we have one of these episodes of ego, when we have this kind of like acting out, we sit down, step back from it and look at why. Why did I see something that had no relevance in my life at all and get hurt by that? Why was that hurtful to me? And it came from the end of a really, really hard relationship for me that lasted a very long time. And it pulled me that moment pulled me back to that really painful point in my life. And this is why we need shadow work. Because those things can be from our childhoods, they can be from relationships, they can be from friendships, they can be from almost anything. A lot of people, a lot of people I talk to, just about animals. I don't have very many fears of animals. I will carry spiders outside on my hand. I don't really care. I like insects. Entomology interests me. But they're like, I couldn't do that. Like, why are you scared of spiders? One crawled on me and freaked me out when I was little. Oh, so you had this traumatic experience because you weren't expecting a spider when you were younger, and then all of a sudden one was just there and you didn't know what to do. And like, I understand that. But we have these things that may be more traumatic and more deeply damaging to us on the level of soul, the level of spirit, that we are essentially functioning on. And for us as human beings, if we give ourselves permission to feel those feelings, which is why my videos are very raw, I don't edit them. I give myself permission to be very imperfect, because I don't think anybody is outside the laws of life. We're all here, we're all learning, we're all growing. I hope all of us have space to learn and grow, and a desire to do so, because that's how we become better people. So this is something, like I said, that I've been working through for the last few days, and I think it is definitely going to be one of the several experiences that I have had that will end up guiding the themes of my videos in this section. So for shadow work, whether you're dealing with the emotional aspect, the mental aspect, the intellectual aspect, or like the physical aspect, just know that any work that you do around the healing of traumas will be something that you will be able to process in one of those ways. If you deal best, and like as a teenager, I dealt best with conflict and trying to release that pent up energy. We ended up having a punching bag at my house because I used to punch things a lot. And I ended up punching a couple holes in the wall, and my dad got a little bit mad, but for Christmas, he bought me a punching bag. So I would just punch the punching bag. And as I got older, I I then would go for walks. One of my favorite ways to release energy is to go down to the river and swim against the current. It's a pretty vigorous workout, but it is very therapeutic because you're so exhausted at the end of it. Like, I could just sit and breathe and feel like, okay, life isn't even that much of a struggle, because when I'm not in the river, if I take a step, I go somewhere. In the river, if I paddle, if I swim, if I'm pulling the water, I am literally going nowhere. Sometimes I even go backwards. So, it's just giving your brain time, or your emotions time, or like I said, wherever you store trauma, because for everybody it's different. So you need to, like I always say, I think it's literally in every video, you need to figure out what works for you. So emotionally purging, crying is great. You can also punch things. Do not punch things that you're going to have to pay to repair. Go to the gym, work out. Go to an art class and create some art. Go shoot someone in paintball. Do something that is going to use some energy and be a point of purge. That's kind of the point, is you want to gather up that negative energy and you just want to push it outside of your physical space, out of your emotional space, out of your intellectual space, out of your general vicinity. You don't want to hold on to it. The part of ego that holds on to that pain really just needs to be seen and understood, and then let go. And once you do that, you can come back to center pretty quick. I know from my own experience, when you end up triggering other people, when you're triggered, sometimes the process gets more drawn out. And that's something that comes with experience. When when you deal with a group of teenagers, or you deal with like a group of children or a group of people, you'll notice that once one ego is triggered, then the next one goes, then the next one goes. It's kind of like a string of fireworks, or firecrackers. And when it gets to you, you just have to stand there and be a mirror for them and be like, what is it that you're truly upset about? And just give them time to think about that. Because I know what I was upset about, and it wasn't this little tiny thing over here. It was something that was deeply buried in me. And now that I have that up and out, what is it that you are upset about? Because a lot of times those two things have nothing to do with each other. Just the fact that they're kind of like meeting in the middle at that point in time. Um, so you can say like, okay, so I got triggered and I got upset about this, and I got upset and I got triggered and I got upset about this. And they're just kind of meeting at the same place at the same time. They're just coming up at the same time. It's not one caused the other, or that like this trigger was necessarily an intentional thing on either person's part. It just was there at the time when you needed to release all this stuff. And that's something that sometimes people can intentionally sit down and do shadow work. But sometimes if you just want to have a quiet day where nothing is going on and you're just chilling out and your ego starts getting really loud, and it goes looking for those triggers and it finds them, the best thing to do is just process what your ego is feeding off of. That way it doesn't come up again. So that would be my advice. Definitely watch that ego, because it's a slippery little sucker, and it can definitely put your brain in places that it doesn't want to be. I was watching actually one of my favorite YouTubers today, and I will have to plug his channel at some time later. But he was saying like you can tell like those things that are true, like warnings, because they come from inside of you. Like when you really know something is off, you have like that gut feeling like something is really the matter. And when you're in a very like safe space, when you're in a very healthy relationship, you don't have that. But every human will always have those little things that run through their brain. Maybe it's I'm not good enough. Maybe that person really doesn't like me. Maybe, and I know sometimes my daughter comes home from work and she says that. She's like, I don't know, I try to be nice to everybody at work, but maybe nobody there really likes me. I don't think they do. And I hear from her coworkers all the time, oh, she's so nice, she's so sweet, like she's so helpful, like all the customers love her, like her coworkers love her. She's a great kid. I had a meeting for my son the other day at school, and they're like, he's such a great kid, you know? But then he's like, yeah, he has those same voices. We all have them. So if it's just the monkey mind, that ego that just won't shut the heck up, I think it's all mouth. It's all mouth. It likes to be loud. All bark, no bite. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that if your brain is going crazy but you don't have any physical issue, if you don't have that gut feeling, if you don't feel it in the depths of you, that it's probably fluff. Probably fluff. Probably nothing. And I have definitely felt the difference. And I know that's true, especially for me, being who I am and being through what I've been through. I just know that for me, that definitely is a correct statement. But you guys find what works for you. If you need to go scream, go scream. If you need to punch a punching bag, do that. You need to go spar with your friends, do that. You want to take some boxing lessons, get whacked around a couple times, go do that. Anything that's gonna make you feel better. If you need to write 17 pages of trauma and just analyze every single point of it, like, do it. Process any way you can process, because holding on to that stuff is just, it's not healthy. And I've been trying to find time to just sit and process some stuff, and every time I'm like, okay, it's gonna be today, something comes up, and it's wild. My life is completely bonkers right now. Just the fact that I'm sitting here doing a video is kind of insane because this was not on the schedule. But this is gonna help me process, so it's definitely worth it. At least I'm gonna look at it like it's a blessing. So yeah, we're gonna keep moving through the shadow work, and we'll get a little more into the ego and some of its lovely little tricks. Probably hoping in the next few days. But if that doesn't happen, don't hold it against me. I will be back at some point. And I will talk to you guys later.